Hopefully you've taken the time to copy out the rules for determining the number of sig figs in a value. Let's go through some examples. The first number here is 5,000. Because there is no decimal place here, all these zeros are not considered as significant. So the number 5,000 here would have one significant digit. So one sig fig. Whereas here we've got 5,000 decimal 0. This decimal means that all of these digits are now significant. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sig figs. The next example, 5,001. Because there is a digit here, the 1, right, this will result in these two zeros counting as significant. So this here would be 4 sig figs. The next example, 0.005. All of these values here are not considered significant, and just the 5 is, so that would be 1 sig fig. Last example, 0.00082. All the numbers after all these zeros would be considered significant, so this here has 2 sig figs. Here are some more examples. This value here would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sig figs. And that's because all of the values here are digits between 1 to 9. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sig figs as well. All of those zeros count because they are sandwiched in between digits between 1 to 9. The next value, 5 million. Because there is no decimal place here, all of these zeros are not considered significant, and this would only be 1 sig fig. The next example, 600, same thing applies. There is no decimal place, and so this is just 1 sig fig. Here we've got 620. The 6 and the 2 are considered significant, but the 0 is not, so that would be 2 sig figs. And the last one, 6,201, this 0 is considered significant because it's sandwiched between two digits that are between 1 to 9. So that there's 4 sig figs. Say for example, this here, the number 600, say there was a 1 there, and that was 6,001. This would now become 4 sig figs. If, for example, you have 620 decimal, this would now become 3 sig figs. And the last one, if you have 6,201 decimal, that would still remain 4 sig figs. Time to do some examples with scientific notation values. If you have 8.35 times 10 to the power of negative 3, it would be 1, 2, 3 sig figs. .00 times 10 to the power of 5 is 1, 2, 3 sig figs. What you should be noticing is that when you're trying to figure out the number of sig figs in a value that's in scientific notation, essentially you ignore this 10 to the power of something and you're just looking at the first part of that value. So the next example, 1.001 times 10 to the negative 4. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4 sig figs. The last one, 2.3500 times 10 to the power of 4, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sig figs.